What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you my 2018-2019 NFL playoff predictions. It's not something that I typically do on the channel, but definitely something I wanted to try out this year. Give you guys my playoff predictions, and of course want to hear your predictions below in the comments as well. Who do you think is going to win? What do you think are some tough matchups? Is your team in the playoffs? If your team is definitely in the playoffs, let me know below. My team, of course, the Saints, are the #1 team in the league right now by record, so very exciting time for me. But let me know if your team's in the playoffs below, and do you think they can go all the way? What do you think of some tough matchups, and who do you think is going to be our Super Bowl matchup? So let's get right into it. So we'll start on the AFC side, and then we'll do the NFC side, and then I'll give you the Super Bowl predictions. So first up here, we have the Ravens versus the Chargers. Honestly, this to me is the toughest game to pick of the wild card matchups. I really love the Chargers. I would love to see the Chargers go to the Super Bowl. They are a team that I just love to watch. A lot of great talent on that team. Baltimore is a tricky team, and they obviously get the home game because they won their division, whereas the Chargers actually have a better record, but they're in the same division as the Chiefs, so they're in the wild card round, and that's a tough spot to be in. Because you really feel like you should have the home game there, but you actually have to go on the road. And Baltimore, one of the top defenses in the league. I'm not sure if they're still ranked #1, but they're definitely like in the top 3 for sure. Their defense can keep you in any game. For me, when it comes to the playoffs, there's a few things that give you an advantage. Home field definitely gives you an advantage. Some teams way more than others, right? Like the Saints having a home field advantage is huge. You know, the Seahawks a few years ago with their home field advantage was huge. Other teams, it's not as big of a deal, but you still rather play at home than on the road. QB play / QB experience. I don't think experience is everything, right? It definitely helps, but I mean, you saw what Nick Foles did last year. It can't happen, but I think experience is still something that's good to have. QB play overall, the better QB play is something good to have in defense, because defense wins championships, as cliche as it sounds, for the most part. Usually teams that win it all have a good defense, or at least a formidable defense, and defense travels well on the road. So in this matchup here, I would say, okay, we got a good home field advantage for the Ravens. Might be pretty cold. You know, the Chargers are, they're from LA, so that cold could get to them. But the Chargers have a really good away record. They're 7-1 on the road, I believe. They're better on the road than they are at home. They have the QB advantage. They have the QB experience and the better QB because Lamar Jackson just a rookie. This is his first time in the playoffs. But even with all that said, I think this is going to be the closest game of Wild Card Week, and I can see this being a 3-point or less victory for either team. My heart wants to say the Chargers, but my gut just tells me something about this Baltimore team. That defense at home, they're going to be tough to beat. I'm going to go slight edge to the Ravens here, even though I really would like to see the Chargers win. It just something is telling me that the Ravens are going to have this matchup, and they've been playing really good since they put Lamar in. They've been pretty hot. The next matchup, Houston versus Indianapolis. Indianapolis may be the hottest team in the league right now. Started 1-5. They finished their last 10 games 9-1. I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous. They beat Houston a few weeks ago, I believe. Houston's also another hot team. They started 0-3. They finished their last 13, 11-2. So, I mean, they're a really good team as well. Here again, home field advantage is going to go to Texans, but I don't think they have like a huge home field edge in this case. I don't think it's the biggest deal for them. The Colts definitely have the QB edge here. I mean, Andrew Luck, when he's playing like he is now, when he's back to himself, he's a top 5 QB in this league. He has playoff experience. He's a better QB than Watson, even though Watson has been really good since coming into the league. But it's your first playoff game. It's tough for rookie QBs to win that first playoff game. People could say, oh, none of that stuff matters. These are all professionals, but it does matter. That experience and that, having been there before is a big deal. The Colts are hot right now. Defense is playing good as well as their offense. I'm going to take the Colts in this matchup. I honestly think the Colts are going to upset the Texans. Not that I think this would be such a huge upset. It's a division rival, so those are always tough games no matter what. Their records are very, they're separated by, 1 game. I don't think it's really considered a huge upset, but since they are the road team, I think the Colts win this. So basically, up here, this would put the Colts, because they would be the lowest seed, so they would play the Chiefs. And then down here, the Ravens would play New England. So now we go to this. Kansas City versus the Colts. very interesting matchup for me here because I think the Colts are a team that could beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a pretty decent home field advantage. I don't want to say decent. They have a pretty good home field advantage. The thing about the Chiefs that is just iffy for me is that, okay, Mahomes this year, or I mean, we won't just blame it on Mahomes because Mahomes has been pretty good. You know, he's had some turnovers here or there. It's his first real year as a starter. He's been pretty good in his losses. You know, a lot of times the defense has let up a lot of points, and he's had to, like, do a lot just to win those games. But it still always usually falls on the quarterback in the end. The Chiefs have lost, you know, quite a few games to winning teams. They've lost, I don't know if they've lost all their primetime games, but they've lost most of them. You know, they lost to the Patriots in primetime. They lost to the Rams in primetime. The Chargers, you know, they've lost big spotlight games a lot this year. And the Colts, like I said, Andrew Luck been there, done that. The Colts are hot right now. I don't think the Colts know they have to go on the road. They're the 6th seed. They have to go on the road the whole way. They're ready for it. They're built for it. But something tells me that the Chiefs' firepower is going to prevail here. Their defense, you know, has had games where they've played okay. All they need to do is, you know, get some sacks, which they can do, get an opportune turnover here and there. I do think that the Chiefs win this game, but I think this game can really be interesting. I would not be surprised if this matchup happens. I would not be surprised if the Colts did win this game. I think the Colts are one of those teams no one really wants to play right now, but the Chiefs at home, first game, I think they'll have enough firepower to get that win with the home field advantage being a big factor there. Ravens and New England, another game. We've seen the Ravens in years past, you know, even though these are different teams, but Ravens have been able to, you know, go on the road and beat New England in the playoffs. The Ravens are, you know, they're no, you know, they still have, you know, the guys like Suggs. They have guys on the team, you know, the Coach Harbaugh that's been there for a while. They're not scared to go into New England and play. New England is 8-0 at home this year, and they've been a little iffy. They've been up and down this year. But come playoff time, it's just something about the Patriots. Every single year, it's like, okay, you know, the Patriots, they're, you know, Tom's getting a little older. They're not going to do it this year. But every year, it seems like they're always in that AFC Championship game. And I just can't count them out. They have the home field advantage. They're 8-0 at home. They have the best. I mean, when you talk about Tom Brady versus Lamar Jackson here, I mean, that's a big gap in terms of just playing experience. It's Lamar Jackson's first year. He hasn't even played the entire year. Coach advantage obviously goes to Belichick. Defense is the one thing here. Like I said, defense travels well. Defense can go on the road. We've seen Brady be able to, you know, be stopped in the past. He's not invincible. The Ravens, I think, would make this a tough game. I think this is a close game. I think the Patriots are going to edge this out, but this is going to be, I think that's going to be, if things play out this way, I think that's the Patriots' toughest game in this road here. I think that's the game that would be, you know, the hardest for them to win. The Ravens are going to take them, you know, everything they got, but I think the Pats at home, they're going to pull it out. Now we go, Pats got to go on the road. They got to go to Kansas City. It's good home field advantage for KC. The Patriots on the road this year are like 3-5. Not very good on the road this year. Lost a couple, you know, heartbreakers, like the game against Miami. You know, really should have won that game, but just a meltdown at the end. A lot of people want the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of people are picking the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. It's just something different about the postseason. Brady and Belichick, they get it done. The Chiefs have a lot of firepower, but look, the Chiefs lost to the Patriots earlier this year. Like I said, the Chiefs have lost a lot of big games. Andy Reid is an amazing as a coach he is. I saw somebody say this on Twitter earlier today. They said Andy Reid is like the James Harden of coaches. And it's kind of funny because it's like James Harden gets to the postseason, he can never quite get all the way. Now, keep in mind, Andy Reid has gone to a Super Bowl before with the Eagles and lost. You know, James Harden's, you know, he went to the NBA Finals with the Thunder, you know, a while back, but he wasn't, you know, he was more of like an off the bench, you know, guy for that team. He was, even though he was a big part of that team, he wasn't like the star of the team. But you get what I'm saying. Andy Reid has those playoff blunders. You know, just a few years ago with the Chiefs, they were up 38-10 in a playoff game, I think of wild card weekend, and they wound up losing that game. Like, it's just kind of like something that happens to Andy Reid. So you take that into account. You take the fact that as great as Mahomes has been, playoff experience overall, you know, we're talking the GOAT with Tom Brady. You've got an edge there. You've got the coaching edge with Belichick. The Chiefs' defense is just not very good. They have games where, like I said, they get those turnovers and they get those sacks, but they're not a good in terms of like preventing points. They're not good, and it's just hard for me to see a team with a defense that allows as many points as they have all year going all the way, being able to beat Tom Brady where he shines the best. So I think the Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl. People are tired of seeing it. I'm kind of tired of seeing it, but the Patriots are who they are, and I think this is what's going to happen. I think we get a good game here, but I think the Patriots are going to pull this out on the road, and maybe to shock a lot of people because the Chiefs are everybody's pick. I think the Patriots going all the way. Now, let's get on over to the NFC side. Dallas and Seattle. So here we go. Dallas, home field advantage. They definitely have a good home field advantage, especially, there's always like the jokes of like, anytime calls kind of go a little bit weird from the refs, it's like, oh, Jerry Jones is cutting the check. We don't really know how true all that kind of stuff is, but they definitely have a home field advantage. Really good, passionate crowd. Seattle undoubtedly has the QB edge. Seattle is the team that scares, as a Saints fan, Seattle is the team that scares me the most in the playoffs. Because of Russell Wilson, really nothing else. I mean, obviously they're a well-coached team. They're okay on both sides of the ball. They're not like amazing on either side, but they play good football. The second half of the year, they always come around. They play good football. Russell Wilson's been there, done that. Should have won back-to-back Super Bowls if not for that one bad call on the goal line. Should have been a back-to-back champion. Russell Wilson in the playoffs is special. And it's just Dak Prescott for me. Dak Prescott has been playing pretty well this second half of the year as Dallas has turned around. Dak Prescott has actually been playing pretty well. Not amazing, but he's doing what he has to do to win. He's not playing like complete trash like we've seen for certain spans. He's been playing really well over the second half of the year. I just think Seattle's going to pull this out. They're really hot right now. They've been playing really good. They just beat the Chiefs. Again, another big game. The Chiefs lost on Sunday night a couple weeks ago. They just beat the Chiefs. They can win big games. Russell Wilson in the playoffs is used to this. This is where he shines. Dak Prescott, I think that's the biggest place where they come up short here. So I think Seattle is going to go on the road and actually take down Dallas. But if Dallas were able to pull this out, I wouldn't be completely shocked either. Chicago and Philly. This is a kind of another tough game here because Philly, again, they're hot right now. It's all about getting hot at the right time, momentum. You saw what happened to Philly last year when Foles came in. Every game he got a little better. Momentum and just getting hot at the right time is everything. Doesn't matter what you did in that first half of the year. Doesn't matter, that they, I think we're 4-6 at one point. Doesn't matter. Right now they're hot. Foles is playing pretty well. The defense is finally starting to play a little bit better. They're definitely really banged up on the back end, but that front, four, that pass rush is starting to get home a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if Philly went into Chicago and won. Philly, the elements aren't going to bother them. They're from Philly, so they're not worried about the elements. QB-wise, they have the edge. Foles won the Super Bowl last year. Even though people don't look at Foles as an amazing quarterback, but what Foles did last year was amazing. He went and outdueled Tom Brady. So there's no playoff matchup that's too big for Nick Foles once you beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Trubisky, first time in the playoffs. Look, anytime it's your first time in the playoffs as a quarterback, there's a good chance that you're going to make mistakes. You're not completely ready for it. It's just as part of the growing process as a quarterback. But Chicago does have a good home field advantage. They got crowds. That crowd is ready to go. This team hasn't been in the playoffs for a while. They're excited. They have, the most dangerous defense in the league. Now, whether or not Eddie Jackson plays, I'm not sure if he's on pace to play because he got hurt a couple weeks ago. That's a big loss if he can't play because Eddie Jackson is the Earl Thomas of that defense. And, a lot of people might not like that comparison, but if you look what Eddie Jackson, how he's played in his first 2 years in the league, he looks like the next Earl Thomas. That's how great of a ball hawk he's been, and he makes that defense go. If he's not there, that is a big blow to the defense, but if he plays, I'm still going to give Chicago the edge here. I think being at home with the defense that good is going to be enough. But if the Eagles won this, I would not be surprised at all. I wouldn't. Nothing out of me would be shocked. I could be like, hey, you know what? I could see that happening because last year, of course, they had home field, which is a big help to Foles. Having to come in and take on such a big role. But after you've been there, done that, and they're good in that underdog role, I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But I'm gonna go with the Bears. And now we get to my team, the Seahawks versus the Saints. Like I said, this is the team that scares me the most, basically just because of Russell Wilson. I know that my team, our home field advantage is one of the best we maybe ever seen in the NFL in the Breeze Payton era. They've never lost a playoff game at home in that era. They're a little bit more explosive at home than they are on the road, even though they actually have a better road record this year than a home record by one game. But everybody knows that they're just a little bit more dangerous at home. We're not the best at containing quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, the mobile quarterbacks that can move and extend plays. I mean, even just a couple weeks ago, Big Ben ain't really fast, and he's not really agile, but he's good at extending plays, kind of hanging around in that pocket, making you miss. And we struggled and almost lost that game, and probably almost should have lost that game. A couple calls definitely went our way. So Russell Wilson's someone that scares me, but I think the Seahawks really have to run the ball in order to open everything up for that offense. And we have the best run D in the league, or it might be number 2 now. I'm not sure if it's number 1 or number 2, but either way, we're up there with run defense. So I think if we can contain their run, it's going to make it a little bit easier on us. And first game back, we're going to have basically a lot of our big players have 2 weeks off because they didn't play this past week. We're going to be fast, ready, energized, ready to go. I think we pull that out, even though as good as Russell Wilson is, even though it's a team I think can go on the road and win. I think, Drew Brees, that dome, the fact that our defense and offense is, both playing pretty well right now, I think we definitely take that down. And we go to the NFC Championship game. Now, we go Rams and Bears, and I've been saying it for a while. I really feel like the Rams are going to be a one-and-done team in the playoffs, just like they were last year. As great as that team is, as explosive as they are, they still have a lot of problems on the defense. Now, maybe the defense gets hot in the playoffs, but, outside of Aaron Donald just being one of the best players we've ever seen, they do allow a lot of points. That secondary does, they bite a little bit. They've messed up a lot this year. Even with Talib being back, they've still messed up, let up some big plays. The Bears, like I said, defense travels well. LA, not the best home field advantage either. This is kind of the one thing that goes against LA is they don't have a crazy home field advantage over there in LA. Same for the Chargers in LA. I guess it's still more of a basketball town than a football town. They're kind of trying to build it back up. The stadium that they have, I believe, doesn't even hold, a crazy amount of people. It's just not, it's still better to be at home than on the road, don't get me wrong, but their home field advantage is probably the least, of anybody in the league. So you have that to think about. You have the fact that the Bears, a defense can travel. The Bears just beat them, pretty convincingly not too long ago. Of course, that was in Chicago, big difference, but we've seen them do it already. We've seen Jared Goff crumble a few times this year against good teams, against good defenses. When Sean McVay isn't able to kind of put him in the best situation to succeed, we've seen him throw a lot of bad passes, have those games, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's still a young QB, but we've seen him have those games, against, in big games, we've seen him make a lot of bad throws, make a lot of questionable decisions, and against a defense as good as the Bears, you cannot play like that. I don't care if you're at home or on the road, you can't play like that. And we've also seen Todd McVay a few times this year kind of abandon the run with Todd Gurley in tough games, which is a really big mistake because he makes that offense go. That's the same thing my coach Sean Payton does sometimes in tough games with the Saints. Abandons the run when you have to stick with it. So, and when you look at QB matchup here, yes, Goff is better than Trubisky, but they're both young. They're both not too experienced in the playoffs. So I don't think they have a huge edge there either. I honestly think the Bears pull this out. I think the Bears are coming to the Dome for the NFC Championship game. And I think if you would have said, weeks ago, people wanted to see the Saints-Rams NFC Championship game, I think a lot of people want to see Saints-Bears now because they want to see, one of the best offenses in the league versus the best defense in the league and see if they can go into the Dome and win. Now we talk about going into the Dome. The Bears defense, of course, the Bears defense scares me. They should scare everybody. But the biggest thing here in the playoffs for me, why I said Russell Wilson or the Seahawks scare me the most is because of Russell Wilson. Mitchell Trubisky in the Dome doesn't scare me. Dak Prescott in the Dome, yeah, we lost to the Cowboys on their field. They manhandled us. But Dak Prescott in the Dome doesn't scare me. Jared Goff in the Dome, we beat him already. And they did make a comeback and made it close, but it doesn't scare me as much as Russell Wilson does because he's been there, done that. Mitchell Trubisky, even if he has to go, on the road and win that game in LA, which would be really good for his morale, coming into the Dome is a different place. One of the, probably as of right now, probably the best home field advantage crowd in the league. As good as that defense is, yes, it'll keep them in the game. But I just don't think Trubisky is going to outduel Drew Brees in the Dome in the NFC Championship game. I don't think he's there yet, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's tough for even the best of QBs to come in there and do. So I think that's going to be enough. The Saints are going to the Super Bowl. We're going to get I really think we're getting the Brady-Brees matchup. A lot of people throughout this whole year were saying, Mahomes-Golf matchup, Rams-Chiefs, and I was saying, it looks that way, but come playoff time, it's gonna be Patriots and Saints, and I'm sticking with that. And of course, I'm going with my Saints here. And I'm not trying to be biased, but it's we are the number 1 team in the league, so it's not crazy to say the Saints can win it all. It's not like we're the 6th seed underdog, and I'm predicting us to go all the way. No, we are the best team in the league right now. Last few weeks have looked, a lot more human than we did earlier in the year, but this is a great matchup here. two guys near the end of their career, two, of the best QBs we've ever seen. I think the Saints have the defensive edge in this game. Our defense has been really good the last few weeks. Patriots defense is a little iffy. QB-wise, I mean, you take who you want. This is a great QB matchup. This is a great coach matchup, although I'll say Belichick I would give them the coaching edge over Sean Payton by a little. Weapons, I mean, probably about equal. Kamara and Michael Thomas are good. With the Patriots, you got Michelle, James White's a good receiving back. You got Gronk, but neither team just has weapons that blow you away. So it's a very even matchup, and I think the Saints will take it down, get their second Super Bowl. Not sure if Breeze will retire. I think he'll still come back for one more year, but I think the Saints take it down, get their second Super Bowl. The second Super Bowl of the franchise, and also the Breeze and Peyton era, and Patriots with back-to-back tough Super Bowl losses. So that's my predictions for the playoffs. Again, like I said, let me know yours below. And as always, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.